we have to gradually move to module 2, which is Foundations on Individual Behavior. So in module 1, we explored organizational behavior at a broader level, right? Perception, communication, stress, leadership, and how the entire behavior will shape the workplace dynamics. Today, let's pause and ask a deeper question. Like, before understanding organizational behaviors or organizations per se, do we really understand ourselves? Because organization is nothing but a collection of individuals, right? And individual behavior forms the foundation of everything we basically see in all organizations. So this is exactly what module 2 is all about. So talking about the module overview, we will have to explore terms like personality, intelligence, perception, learning, values, person job fit, etc. So the core question is, like we have already explored this as activity last time, why do two people react completely different to the same situation? Situation may be the same, but reactions from two different individuals may be different, right? So that is individual behavior. So for a formal definition, as you can see, an individual behavior forms the cornerstone of organizational dynamics. Before we can understand how organizations function, we must first understand ourselves, like the people in the organization, their patterns, their preferences, and responses in or within the professional settings. So we have basically kept aligning with the syllabus, the module learning objectives. So by the end of this module, you will be able to understand the determinants of the behavior, analyze personality and perception, and apply these concepts to various workplace scenarios, and most importantly, develop self-awareness. Why? Because organizational behavior begins with self-awareness. Okay. So what is individual behavior and why is it important to all these determinants? Okay. So I just have to add to the previous slide that behavior is not just who we are, but the total final behavior is who we are plus where we are. So according to situation, it changes. So it's an interaction basically between personality and the situation, right? Yeah. So now from here, we understand that the behavior actually encompasses the observable actions and internal process that totally define a workplace conduct. How? Now, coming to the key determinants. So, what shapes behavior is what we are seeing here. Okay, there are three domains as you can see: personal factors, environmental factors, and organizational systems. So, personal factors, you know, right? Our own personality, basic personality, our intelligence, our values, our attitude, and all that. Environmental factors means it can be, you know, we all come from different environments. It can be the family upbringing, it can be the culture, it can be our experiences, it can be our social influences, etc. And the last one is the organizational system itself, right? The organization or the company where we work, the culture of that, the resources which we get, the policies adopted by the company, the leadership there, etc. So think about this like a highly creative employee, okay, very creative, but he may feel restricted in a rigid kind of organization, right? The same person, different environment, but may have different behavior. So the model of individual behavior, so this is very important. I've actually summed it up. You can see what all influences a workplace behavior: leadership, personality, abilities, value, organizational culture, resources, etc. So coming to intelligence in organizations. So we often think intelligence is equal to marks here in the classroom. right? And wherever we get to apply it, no. But in organizational, intelligence is multidimensional. So basically, there are three types of intelligence. Okay, we have actually slightly brushed this earlier also. So for the classification sake, so the three types can be analytical intelligence, which is number one. Number two is emotional intelligence, and number three is practical intelligence. So analytical intelligence is usually we call it as IQ. So it has problem solving, it has logic, it has technical thinking, etc. Emotional intelligence is understanding and managing emotions, and practical intelligence is handling real life situations effectively. So here is a question. Can someone with high IQ still fail at work? Yes. Why? Because IQ may solve problems analytically, but EQ will manage people, right? So coming to personality. So what is personality? Personality is the stable pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving. So personality will influence career choices, it will influence uh, conflict handling, it will influence leadership style, job satisfaction, a lot of things like that. But personality is not completely fixed. Experience and reflection can gradually shape personality. So there are determinants of personality. Okay, so there is something called big five personality traits which you should know. So let's quickly reflect. So you may have to, I've already given you activity based on this. So you are aware of this. So we have something called extraversion, which is an energy from interaction. Then there's something called emotional stability, which is being calm under pressure. Then we have openness, which is like curiosity or creativity. Then there is something called conscientiousness, conscience, right? So from within the discipline and the responsibility which comes, and also agreeableness, which is empathy and cooperation with the others. So ask yourself which trait defines you the most. And we have already reflected in this through an activity. And it's also equally important that which traits do you need to develop, right? So basically all this is listed here: extraversion, emotional stability, openness, conscientiousness, and agreeableness. Okay. Then moving to personality and job fit. This leads to basic person versus job. So when personality matches job demands, satisfaction increases, stress decreases, and performance improves. Now, for example, suppose a person who's an introvert is forced into a constant client interaction. Then he may feel drained because that's not what he is. He's an introvert. So, organizational behavior doesn't aim to change personality, it aims to align roles. Okay. So now you have to understand these differences, manage these differences effectively. So this may require both adjustment and understanding. Adjustment is modifying your approach. Understanding is what accepting different styles as valid. Okay. Now perception is the lens through which we see the reality, right? So it actually has three factors to be considered. First is selection, second is organization, and third is interpretation. Okay. So as we said, so selection means attention focuses on certain stimuli while filtering out others. Focus goes on certain things. Certain things not intentionally, but we filter. So organization. The information is categorized and structured into meaningful patterns. Organizing it. Interpretation. Meaning is assigned based on past experience and current context as well. Okay. Now, factors influencing perception. Okay, perception is shaped by, as we know, experience, expectations, emotions, and the context. Fine. So now perception isn't objective that we know, right? So basically it's shaped by the characters of the perceiver. So the perceiver matters, the target matters, and also the situation matters. Now coming to perceptual errors and attribution. Okay. So our perceptions are often biased on certain things. Hmm. So this perceptual errors can be classified as halo effect, stereotyping, then projection, then first impression, and selective perception, projection, etc. Okay, so I have already discussed this. I've given you an activity in this. So you can actually go through the online definition. Examples are already with you. Fine. So let's reflect with a question. Have you ever judged someone quickly and later realized you were wrong? Yes, that's perception, and that may fall into one of these common perceptual errors, which is listed here. Now coming to learning. So learning is relatively permanent change in behavior, right? Due to experience, and learning comes majorly from experience. So there's a learning cycle, like we have experience, then we have feedback, then we reflect, then we apply, and then we reinforce. Okay. So experience, we know, direct or observed experience create the needed learning. Then feedback, we know, reflection, we know, application, reinforcement is like positive outcomes, which will strengthen our learning, right? So with the negative outcomes, we will actually learn to do proper adjustment. Now, learning and organizational behavior actually focuses on continuous learning, adaptability, and professional growth. So basically, for people like you, for MCA professionals, learning is survival, okay? Because technology changes, tools change, work culture change, but learners have to stay relevant. So the real skill is not knowledge, it is the ability to learn continuously. So coming to real world mapping, so this module is not just theoretical, okay? You are asked to map your real experience to OB concepts. So recall a situation, analyze the behavior, and reflect on learning. This is the next activity which I'm going to give you. So that's where OB becomes meaningful, okay? So you have to recall, you have to analyze, and you have to reflect. So the goal isn't just understanding the theory, but the practical wisdom. So the real takeaway from here, after exploring personality, perception, intelligence, and learning, is that you have to understand yourself. Understanding yourself is the first step to succeeding in organizations. Because before you lead teams, before you manage conflicts, before you build cultures, you must understand your own behavior. And that is where the journey begins. Thank you.